According to the New Testament, if the gospel is the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus, how much is truly understood about the context of his burial? What influences led to the mode of burial at that time? When Jesus of Nazareth was crucified in Jerusalem, Joseph of Arimathea, a prosperous Jewish disciple of Jesus, received permission from the Romans to remove his body from the cross. He buried Jesus in his own family tomb, hence the expression to be gathered to one's fathers. Rock-cut tombs were only affordable by the rich Jewish upper classes and used over several generations. By contrast, poor people were buried in trench graves with few traces recorded archaeologically. From the earlier era of the First Temple period, 8th to 7th century BCE, is a marvelous rock-cut tomb system at Ketef Hinnom in Jerusalem. Measured in Egyptian cubits, a bench on 3 sides included carved headrests for the bodies. The pit or repository for the bones lay just beside the bench. Also at this site, one of the earliest examples of Paleo-Hebrew writing, the Silver Scrolls, was discovered by Gabi Bar-Kai and the students at Jerusalem University College. After the destruction of Solomon's temple, evidence for tombs only reemerged hundreds of years later in the Hasmonean period in the 2nd century BCE. Due to the Maccabee family and their victorious revolt against the Greeks, the Jewish people ruled Jerusalem once again. These famous Maccabee brothers originated at Modi'in. While they opposed the Greeks to regain Jewish autonomy, ironically, they eventually incorporated Hellenistic elements into their Jewish culture and burial practices. These ancient remains at Modi'in may well be the remnants of their hometown. Based on descriptions by Josephus and the books of the Maccabees, their monolithic family tomb in Modi'in was inspired by the tomb of Mausolus at Halicarnassus, which was one of the wonders of the ancient Mediterranean world. Also at Modi'in, a nearby area is venerated as their burial site, but it's unclear if these are the remains of the great structure even today. It had a tall podium surrounded by columns and capped with a pyramid and could be seen at great distances. Rather, the tomb of an illustrious local sheikh now marks the spot, and modern Israelis arrive yearly to celebrate the feast of Hanukkah there. These Hellenistic influences set the stage for displayed tombs and the Greek style of monumental structures, characterizing several other prominent tombs of the Jerusalem area later in the Second Temple period. The designs included an open courtyard, which in turn led to a porch in front of the tomb supported by 1 or 2 Doric columns. Within were 2 rooms, with the burial chamber and then a charnel room for collecting bones. Within the tomb are niches or loculi to place the body. Family members laid out the body in a shroud. Later in the period, bone boxes or ossuaries replaced the charnel room. The Greek style typically included a pyramidal cap described as a nephesh or soul. Great examples of tombs from this style and era are situated in the Kidron Valley and the Sanhedrin tombs located in the northern part of the city. While the Roman authorities crucified Jesus, Jewish law required burial within 24 hours. That's why his disciples placed Jesus in a borrowed tomb of a wealthy man. Jesus' family were humble and couldn't afford such a rock-cut tomb. Ordinarily, a section of the Hinnom Valley was designated as the potter's field in which these poor people could be buried. By contrast, the Gospels record that Jesus was placed in a new tomb, or possibly an unused loculus within Joseph of Arimathea's family tomb near the hill of Golgotha. Afterwards, the tomb was sealed with a rolling stone, and remnants of these tombs, the trough for the stone, and the rolling stones themselves are still in place throughout Israel. In summary, the burial practices of the day harmonize beautifully with the details of the gospel accounts before Jesus' resurrection and just prior to the eyewitness sightings afterwards by the disciples.